Hello everyone, and welcome to this introductory presentation for employers about the Canada-Alberta Productivity Grant, or the CAPG. Here is the agenda for the presentation. First, we will introduce the new CAPG program, review its purpose, and outline the grant process. Second, we'll review the eligibility requirements for employers, trainees, training courses, and training providers. We'll also look at the training costs. Third, we'll review the steps that applicants need to take during the grant process. If you have questions following the presentation, please direct them to the Canada-Alberta Productivity Grant Office, and an advisor will respond to you within a few business days. Our contact information is available on our program's website, alberta.ca/CAPG. Before we start, please note this presentation provides an overview of the Canada-Alberta Productivity Grant Program. For complete information regarding the program, please consult our website and access the Canada-Alberta Productivity Grant Applicant Guidelines. The Government of Alberta is pleased to introduce the Canada-Alberta Productivity Grant, or CAPG. The Province of Alberta is working in partnership with the Government of Canada to provide funding for this program. The new program will replace previous employer-led training grants. The information presented today will focus specifically on the details of the CAPG that are relevant to employers. Employers will always need a workforce that is well educated, highly skilled, efficient, and productive. The CAPG is an employer-driven program which has been designed to help employers develop workers who suit their business needs and to provide Albertans with the jobs that they need to succeed. In the CAPG, it is employers who determine what training is necessary to meet their business goals and objectives, and who is best suited to receive the training. The employer-driven nature of the program ensures that the selected training provides the skills that employers are looking for and that it meets their needs. It's a tool that addresses mismatches between jobs and skills in Alberta's economy. The CAPG is intended to encourage employer investment in training by co-sharing costs, upskill employees to be better equipped to improve their organization's productivity, and to hire and train unemployed Albertans. Employers can use the CAPG to help their organizations increase efficiency and stimulate innovation while equipping Albertans with the skills needed to meet the demands of a rapidly evolving economy. CAPG helps employers enhance their productivity and competitiveness by supporting training that will enable their workers to develop value-added and specialized skills. The program is a two-stage process that is completed online through the CAPG portal. Before applying, employers must first determine their training needs and prepare the supporting documents for their application. In stage 1, employers must first register their business through the CAPG portal. Employers can then submit an application. Once received, the application will be reviewed for eligibility, and a decision email will be sent to the employer. Please note that once an application is received by the CAPG, training may begin. In stage 2, once training is finished, employers must submit a training completion form within 30 days following the end of training. Once the training completion form is approved, a reimbursement payment will be issued to the applicant. Now, let's take a look at the CAPG eligibility criteria for employers, trainees, training providers, course, and training costs. Let's start by looking at which types of businesses can apply to this program. This grant is available to the following employer types: for-profit businesses, both incorporated and unincorporated, nonprofit organizations, First Nations or Métis settlements, and 2 Crown corporations located in a rural Alberta community, the Agriculture Financial Services Corporation and the Alberta Treasury Board. Employers must be registered and operating as an established business in Alberta for at least 1 year before the application receipt date. Additionally, employers must be in good standing and comply with the Employment Standards Code, the Occupational Health and Safety Act, and the Workers' Compensation Act. This next section will cover trainee eligibility. When we say trainees, we mean your current or future employees that attend all the training courses listed on an application. Trainees must be Canadian citizens, permanent residents, or protected persons under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. They must also be living in Alberta. There are two types of application forms to submit based on the type of trainee you are applying for, either employed or unemployed. Employed trainees are defined as current employees or seasonal or temporarily laid off staff of the employer applicant. Unemployed trainees are defined as individuals who have not been working for more than 30 consecutive days, or new hires that have worked for the employer for 30 days or less and were previously not working for more than 30 consecutive days. Let's take a look at a couple of examples of eligible unemployed trainees. Example 1. Omar has been unemployed for the past 6 weeks, and a construction company agrees to hire him once he completes a project management course. In this case, Omar is an eligible unemployed trainee, as he has been unemployed for more than 30 days and will be hired by the applicant company after the training ends. Example 2. Amira, who has been unemployed for the past 6 weeks, was recently hired by an IT company. 2 weeks after being hired, Amira's employer sent her for training on a new design program. In this case, Amira is also eligible as an unemployed trainee because she is a new hire. That is, she has worked for the company for fewer than 30 days, and prior to being hired, she had been unemployed for more than 30 days. The following trainees are ineligible for CAPG funding: business owners or board members, an immediate family member of the employer, a board member, a shareholder, or anyone who has authority or power over the employer, such as an executive director. Immediate family members include spouses, common law partners, children, parents, and siblings. Individuals who are not in an employer-employee relationship with the employer, such as contractors or volunteers, and individuals working in Canada temporarily, such as temporary foreign workers and international students. Next, we'll review the eligibility requirements for training courses. Training courses listed on an application must meet the following criteria. Primarily, they must be focused on productivity skills development in one of 3 categories. They must also be relevant to the operational needs of the business and the trainee's job. They must be completed within 52 weeks from the application receive date. They must take place in Alberta, and training must be instructional, feature directed programming and learning activities, and have an instructor. Also, please note the training courses must start after the application receive date. As mentioned on the previous slide, training must fall into one of the following productivity-based skills categories: business process and operations management, technical, and digital and technological. Now, what exactly is business process and operations management? It's training which equips employees with the skills to improve and optimize processes, operations, systems, and resource management. On the next slide, we will look at some examples. Business planning and operations focuses on developing, analyzing, implementing, and managing organizational strategies and operational processes to achieve business goals efficiently. Some examples of training under this category are business analysis, standard operating procedures, process design and optimization, and operations management. Next is corporate finance and accounting, which focuses on managing, analyzing, and reporting an organization's financial resources and performance. Examples of this training include financial analysis, reporting, and risk. Project and program management focuses on organizing, coordinating, and delivering projects and programs to achieve organizational goals. Quality assurance management focuses on ensuring products, services, and processes meet or exceed quality standards and customer expectations. This includes advanced product quality planning, quality assurance, and quality management systems. And finally, supply chain and resource management training pertains to coordinating, managing, and optimizing the flow of goods, services, resources, and information within and across organizations. Examples include inventory, logistics, and supply chain management. The second skills category, technical, is defined as follows. Training which equips employees with the technical expertise and specialized skills to enhance efficiency, quality, and problem-solving capabilities. In the next slide, we will review some examples of technical training. First, tool usage is training on how to apply the appropriate techniques, tools, and software. Some examples are industrial modeling and geospatial skills, such as computer-aided design and AutoCAD. Equipment setup and maintenance training is for the installation and regular maintenance of machinery and equipment. Examples include heavy equipment frames and their suspension systems training. Design and monitoring, which is training for real-time process control, focuses on monitoring system performance and adjusting to improve efficiency. Finally, automation and robotics trains employees on setting up, programming, and maintaining automated systems and robotic equipment for efficient manufacturing and production processes. The third skills category, digital and technological, is defined as training which equips employees with skills to effectively use, manage, and integrate digital tools and technologies to perform tasks, solve problems, and adapt to evolving technology needs. The next slide will review various digital and technological training examples. First, software development focuses on computer science activities to create, design, deploy, and support softwares or products. Examples of this type of training include coding and programming skills for software development. Next, data analytics is training on tools used to gather, process, and analyze data to support decision-making, such as applying statistical analysis techniques using software. Digital tools and technologies training is used to help employees build practical skills to effectively use digital tools and technologies that enhance their organization's overall digital engagement. An example of this type of training is search engine optimization. Cybersecurity and system infrastructure is training used to protect, manage, and maintain the security and reliability of digital systems, network, data, and infrastructure. Security assessment and vulnerability management are examples under this category. And finally, emerging technologies is training to use new and rapidly growing technologies, such as artificial intelligence and machine learning. We will now look at what training is ineligible for CAPG funding. Training that develops basic, soft, and interpersonal skills is ineligible as it does not meet the productivity skills requirements. An example of basic skills development is administrative training that involves routine operational tasks. Soft and interpersonal skills pertain to things like general communication, relationship building, personal effectiveness, and guiding others. Examples of this type of training include leadership development and customer service training. Additionally, sales and marketing training that is focused on general communication or introductory concepts and basic principles is ineligible. Other types of ineligible training include occupational health and safety training and basic safety courses, training that is intended to complete post-secondary diploma or degree programs, consulting, coaching, and mentoring, practicums and project-based research, conferences, self-study for exams, and Class 1 Learning Pathway, formerly known as MELT, for which funding is now available from the Ministry of Transportation and Economic Corridors. For additional information on ineligible courses, please see the applicant guidelines. In the next section, we'll discuss training provider eligibility. In the CAPG, eligible training providers must meet the following requirements. They must be a third party that is separate and distinct from the employer. Training must be one of their main business activities. They must be in business and have been providing training for at least 2 years at the time of application. And training instructors must be qualified. CAPG defines qualified instructors as individuals who have relevant educational credentials and experience directly related to the type of training within 4 of the preceding 10 years. Ineligible training providers in the CAPG include employer applicants providing in-house training, relatives or employers of the employer applicant, and franchisors and training providers exclusive to one employer. Now, let's look at training costs. First, we will review the funding model for employers. Before we get into details, please note what we mean by a fiscal year. A fiscal year starts on April 1st, and it goes until March 31st of the following year. Each employer is eligible to receive a maximum of $100,000 per fiscal year. For trainees, funding caps differ between employed and unemployed application types. For employed trainee applications, the grant and employer each cover 50% of the eligible training costs. Each employed trainee is eligible for a maximum of $5,000 from CAPG per fiscal year. For unemployed trainee applications, the grant covers 75% of the eligible training costs, and the employer covers 25%. Each unemployed trainee is eligible for a maximum of $10,000 from CAPG per fiscal year. We'll now switch our focus to the costs that can be considered in the CAPG program. Only costs directly related to training are eligible for reimbursement. These are limited to tuition fees, textbooks, software, and other required materials directly related to the training course, examination fees, and approved travel costs as outlined in the applicant guidelines. Travel assistance funding is available in some circumstances and is intended to provide access to training for rural participants who would otherwise not have access to equivalent or similar training. Travel reimbursement can be approved up to a maximum of 5 days for trainers or trainees who need to travel 100 kilometers or greater one way to the training location. Travel funding is limited to small and medium-sized organizations operating in communities outside of the Calgary or Edmonton census metropolitan areas. Training must be delivered through an Alberta-based training provider and occur in Alberta to be eligible for travel assistance. For more information on the travel policy, please see the applicant guidelines. This is a sample of ineligible training costs. A larger list of ineligible costs is available in the applicant guidelines. Ineligible costs include travel that was not approved at the application stage, mandatory student fees, membership or subscription fees and annual dues, health, wellness, and recreation fees, assets your business already has or needs to operate, including software and hardware, and trainee wages. In the next section, we'll look at the steps in the grant process that applicants are required to follow. Before proceeding, it is important to note that when applying for CAPG funding, the applicant declares that he or she has read, understands, and will abide by the applicant guidelines. We therefore recommend that all applicants fully read the applicant guidelines before submitting an application form or a trainee completion form. Again, the applicant guidelines can be accessed on our website. Before you apply, there are some documents and information you need to gather to complete the application. First, confirm your organization's legal name, which is the name your company is registered under. Next, you'll need your organization's Alberta Corporate Access Number, or ACAN. If you do not have an ACAN, check the guidelines for direction. We also need general contact information for your business, including your business mailing address, phone number, and primary sector. It should be noted that additional documents are required for unincorporated employers. Please refer to the applicant guidelines for details. For each training provider, we require the business name and the contact information. For each training course, we need the course name, the type of training, and the productivity category with which it aligns. We also require a quote or course outline that includes details such as a description of the course and the training dates, the per-person cost of training, and the training delivery method. Please note that required course information must be provided in document form. It is insufficient to provide a link to the training provider's website. For each trainee, we require the following information: their full name, address, email address, social insurance number, citizenship status, EI status, job title, and job description. Please note that 2 types of documents must be submitted with an unemployed trainee application: First, for each unemployed trainee, the employer must submit a conditional offer of employment letter or a letter of employment. Second, the employer must provide proof of the trainee's unemployment status. What we accept for this requirement is an itemized statement of employment insurance benefits claimed by the trainee in a calendar year, or the trainee's most recent record of employment. After gathering the required information, an applicant applies online through the CAPG portal. To do so, you must first open an alberta.ca account for organizations to be able to log into the CAPG portal. Once you have logged into the CAPG portal, you will need to register your company so that you will be able to fill out an application form. Please note, the applicant guidelines provide instructions on how to fill out the application form correctly. After you have filled out the application form, you will need to sign the declaration and grant agreement in order to submit it. Once the application is submitted, each trainee listed on it will be sent a confirmation email that he or she must respond to by clicking on the I confirm link contained in the email. When all trainees on the application have done so, the application will be received by the CAPG office, and the application status will change from waiting for trainee signature to application received. We should mention that we strongly encourage applicants to apply at least 30 days before the training start date to allow time for processing. We also request that applicants submit the fewest number of applications possible to reduce delays in processing. Once your application is reviewed, we will review it for eligibility and then communicate our decision by sending an email to the employer contact and posting a copy of the decision letter to the application page in the portal. Please note that you can monitor the status of your application through the portal. If your application is approved, its status will change from application received to application approved, and the approval letter will indicate the maximum amount that could be considered for reimbursement. If your application is declined or rejected, the decision letter will detail the reason your application is not eligible for funding. Also, please note that an approved application does not guarantee reimbursement, as eligibility requirements must be met throughout the entirety of the grant's term. Once your application is received by the CAPG, the training can begin. Employers can pay for training anytime before submitting the training completion form. If there are changes to your application, such as changes in the training dates or the training courses taken, you must notify us via email within 30 days of the approved training start date and before training ends. Please note that requests for training substitutions must be received by the CAPG in writing before training starts. Refer to the applicant guidelines for the specific timeframes pertaining to change requests. Also, it is important to ensure that your application owner and company contact information is always up to date. If not, it may impact your reimbursement because we will not have the correct information to contact you. If there are any changes to your company contact information, please notify us. Once the training is ended, employers must fill out and submit a training completion form through the CAPG portal to receive a reimbursement payment. The training completion form must be submitted within 30 days of the end date of the final training course on the application. Along with the training completion form, you will need to upload the following documentation: a receipt or paid invoice from the training provider. Note that we don't accept unpaid invoices, quotes, and handwritten receipts. Documentation that confirms which courses were taken and the person who took them. An accepted document could be a transcript, a certificate of completion, or a paid invoice that contains this information. Documentation that confirms the payment went through. This is separate from the receipt. An acceptable document could be a copy of a deposited check, a credit card or bank statement, or confirmation of an electronic funds transfer or wire transfer. Please note that if the trainee paid for the training, we require proof that the trainee has been fully reimbursed for the cost of training by the employer. And additionally, if any loans or payment plans were used to pay for the training, we need documents that confirm the entire amount has been paid off. To receive reimbursement by direct deposit, you must upload 2 documents with your first training completion form submission. The first document is the Application for Electronic Payment Form, or AEP form. This form can be accessed on the CAPG website. The second document is an acceptable bank document. If you do not set up direct deposit, your reimbursement will be paid by check and mailed to your company's business address. Once the training completion form has been filled out and all required documentation has been uploaded, you will need to sign and submit the training completion form. From there, the CAPG will review the information and assess for reimbursement eligibility. The CAPG program will launch and be open for applications in September 2025. Please keep an eye on the CAPG website for the most up-to-date information. This brings the presentation to an end. If you require more information about the program, please visit our website or contact us by email or telephone. Thank you for your time and your interest in the Canada-Alberta Productivity Grant.